Hey there, welcome to another Regular Guy Vikings Hour. Thank you so much for joining me yet again. We're at about maybe 11 or 12 shows so far. We're really going strong, even though maybe my likes and comments and subscriptions haven't quite built up yet. I'm still continuing to do the show. I'm still having a lot of fun doing it. The momentum is still moving forward. And so I think at some point things will start to progress. So I think the coolest thing about me recording on a Wednesday night, and I think probably as things go on, I will start to maybe work at getting my shows out a little bit earlier, right? Because everybody gives you an instant reaction to the Jets game right after it happens. And so you'll get that information, right, Sunday night, Monday morning, and you got to wait all the way until Wednesday to hear from me, right? But I give you probably a lot more than most will give you when we do a game review and we talk about what happened. So that's what we're here for, right? So we're here to talk about the 5-0 Minnesota Vikings heading into the bye, getting the win over the Jets in London. I mean, who could ask for more, right? We're doing great so far this year. So now it's time for the regular guy to get his 2 cents in and talk about what happened in that Jets game. So here we go. So SKOL, cheers. And let's get going, okay? And just like I mentioned before, just if you like the content, if you like kind of what I'm bringing to the table, kind of like a unique perspective, giving you a full hour's worth of just Vikings and NFL talk, just please stick around, give me a subscription. That way you get kind of like every time I post something, you'll see it come up. And it just helps me kind of build toward what I'm really shooting for here. So I just thank you so much. Would appreciate the help. Okay, well, let's get going. All right, so the first thing I noticed was, well, I stayed up late recording the night before on Saturday night, so I had to wake up after about maybe 4 hours of sleep for this game, and I made a note here that it sucks to really have to wake up that early to watch a football game. I just didn't have the same energy as I normally do. The house is super quiet. You don't want to wake people up. You know, you can't like play music and be loud. So I don't know, there was just something weird about that game, you know, maybe it just has something to do with them being overseas, right? And for those of us here in America, it just has kind of a weird mojo, a bad juju to it. And so I just kind of tried to put my trust in the coaching staff and just say, hey, the coaching staff will get us through this one. The players will respond. They'll get us through this one. And sure enough, they did, but it took a little bit longer than we expected. So I noticed that Coach KO he won his 4th coin toss out of 5 so far this year. Of course, he deferred. That's what he does. And this time, Reichard actually did not kick it to the end zone. He ended up, I don't remember where he kicked it exactly, but there was a return, and the kick coverage was actually pretty good on that one. They did not reach the 30, so kudos. In terms of, it seems like Reichard was just going to kick it to the end zone all year, and so on this occasion, he didn't, and so I'm glad to see that our coverage team responded. All right, so I did notice on the first drive, the offense ran a quick snap on a nifty first down. I think that Jets caught the ball like right at the stripe, and instead of allowing the Jets a chance to argue the call, we just ran up to the line real quick and ran another play and took that decision out of their hands. So just really, really smart play calling and just gamesmanship early on by our offense. Will Reichard, we talked about him before. He is off to an incredible start. He literally hasn't missed a kick yet in his career. And what's super funny is that, excuse me, I had actually thought about predicting maybe he would get his first miss in this game, and then later in the game he actually did kind of squeak one through right past the right upright. But I thought better of it because I'm like, why would I want to jinx my own kicker? So I took that out of my notes, and sure enough, he goes 3 for 3 in this one. And helps us win the game. So I was really happy to see he kicked 2 over 50 yards. We couldn't ask for more. This guy's off to a great start. In my opinion, Aaron Rodgers has almost 0 leadership skills. He leaves the other players on the team behind and expects them to just automatically understand what he's trying to do without putting in any work. And not any work, but just... when you consider the fact that like he skipped mini camps and then he comes in like he's hot shit and just expects everyone to kind of just, I don't know, be on the same page as him right away. It just seems disingenuous to me. I just think he's not putting in as much work as he could. He's not making an effort to build the chemistry with his guys. He's just stepping out on the field saying, "Hey, I'm a Hall of Famer. You guys just follow me, and I'll do my thing, and then we'll be okay." And turns out there's more to football than just that. You can't just be a great player. You also have to have the hard work. You have to have the chemistry. You have to have the leadership. And he doesn't have that. All he has is just the Hall of Fame ability. And that's just only going to take you so far. So I just noticed Rodgers leaves a lot to be desired. And I think the Jets really made a mistake going with this guy. So anyway, that's my 2 cents on him. Caleb Evans and G. Ward are starting to become a problem for the team with the way that they're playing on special teams. Caleb started out his day being blocked into Brandon Powell on a punt return and almost gave the ball to the Jets. The ball ended up luckily bouncing off the Jets player's shoulder pad, and so he was the first to touch it, so it was a down ball. But man, both of them had really, really terrible days as gunners, and I'm really concerned this is going to be a problem for our team going forward. We're obviously really missing Najee Thompson this year because he was a guy, he would at least be manning one of those positions. And so Caleb, I don't think has ever played this before. Jay Ward has. I mean, he's at least been a special teamer. I don't know if he's specifically been a gunner or not, but neither one of these guys are really doing well. I would maybe, if Theo Jackson is available to maybe play one of the gunner spots, I would actually kind of move him into one of those spots. But we'll see what Coach Daniels does. I don't know. So far, not so good. I like seeing Sam Darnold plays with his legs. I'd actually be okay if he did this a little more often. He's doing it about 2 or 3 times a game. I'd actually like to see him do it more like 4 or 5 times a game. There are definitely times when we just need to pick up a first down, and if he's going to get out of the pocket and move around and scramble, I'd prefer he just use his legs and try and get that first down on his own without obviously putting his body in danger. But just run for the sideline, see what you can do. He's got a little bit more speed than I think players expect. So kind of early in the game, I forget what drive it was. It was maybe like the first, second, third drive, somewhere in there, but it was in the first quarter. Darnold takes a huge hit right to the chest, and he was down for a minute and actually ended up missing a play. I think maybe it was like early second quarter. And in hindsight, I actually think that this hit affected him mentally for the rest of the game. Maybe also physically. Maybe he had a little bit of an injury there in his rib cage, and maybe that affected him throwing the ball later in the game. But I can't really confirm that because he didn't say anything. But mentally, I think it really did affect him. He seemed to be a little bit timid and to have happy feet for the remainder of the game. So on that one play that Nick Mullins came in, he actually made a big throw to Aaron Jones down the sideline, which was kind of a nice play call, to be honest. I love KOC just matching Mullins' aggressiveness in that moment because I think it was like a 3rd and 4. And no, this was not the play that Jones got injured on, actually. He jumped up and was just fine. His injury actually comes a little bit later, but yeah, I really like this play, and it makes me feel good about our backup quarterback because I got to say, when you look around the league, none of the backup quarterbacks, or at least not a lot of them, are going to make you feel really great. You just hope that a guy can come in and win a game, honestly. You don't think that you have a backup quarterback on your team who can step in and throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. You're just hoping a guy can come in and do enough to win a game. And I think last year, maybe if the defense had played a little bit better, and obviously if Mullins hadn't turned the ball over so much, he might have actually kind of grabbed a couple of wins late in the year. So Mullins, I think, is capable, and I'm glad that he is our backup quarterback because at the very least he's willing to throw the ball down the field. And so I'm good with that. So Nick Mullins is the backup. Came in, showed us what he's got with one play. Kind of a cool moment. Anyway, all right, on to the next play. The Chandler muff on the pitch, and the Jets linebacker just snagged it right away. And he was going for a touchdown, if not for Darnold just barely clipping his heels there at the last second. And the guy ends up, I think his knee or his shin hits down or something. But man, that was close to being, him taking that to the house, which would have shifted the momentum of that game severely early in the game. All right, I made a note about Aaron Rodgers having what I would call in my notes a leverage hitch. And I don't even really know what I meant by that when I wrote it down because I was pretty tired that morning. But I think what I was noticing was that he either isn't fully healthy, especially on his lower half. I don't think he's getting a lot of drive out of his legs, and I think his arm is only so strong. And I don't necessarily think. Well, I mean, we didn't even really see him throw the ball down the field that much. I mean, I can't recall him throwing a ball further than maybe 20, 30 yards. But what I think it does affect is his accuracy. So I think there's something going on, whether or not it's him not being fully recovered from the Achilles, whether or not it's just him being older, some of these lower leg injuries he sustained so far this season. Something's going on with Rodgers that just has affected him on the lower half. I think it's affected what mobility he might have left, and then also his accuracy is just off because there were several throws, like a handful in this game, where if he had been just a touch more accurate, there was yak to be had by his skill position players, and it definitely could have changed the tone of the game pretty early on. So obviously it worked out for us that he's injured, but something's going on with him. So you couple that with the fact that he's just not got the mental game necessarily, and I think we all know they just fired their coach, Robert Saleh, which I thought was, that's just such a dumpster fire of an organization. Woody Johnson is, for a billionaire, he's a moron. He doesn't know anything about how to run a team. And I think he didn't need to fire anybody, but I think if anyone needed to have the hammer brought down on them, I don't think it was Saleh. The way he called his defense in that game was actually pretty damn good. So if Woody Johnson had some kind of ultimatum going into a London game at 2-2 against a 4-0 Vikings team that was like as hot as any team in the NFL, saying if you don't win this, you're fired, that's on him. And that's the kind of stupid decision making that moron billionaire owners make. And so the Jets fans don't deserve what he has created, okay? He deserves it, though, because he's just quite possibly the worst owner in all of the NFL. And so, I don't know. You get what you give, right? It's like, hey, man, this is how you run a team or a franchise, then this is what you get. So, good luck with Aaron Rodgers, I guess all I can say, and I'm sorry, Jets fans. Okay. Let's see, what else? We talked about Aaron's accuracy. So then Van Ginkel with another pick six. Unbelievable. And just a great job getting into the end zone. I think he took that back over 60 yards. There was some great blocking by the other guys on that play. And he's just, I think he might actually have the best shallow coverage instincts of any edge defender in the NFL. He has taken two back, almost got a pick against the 49ers, and I think he might have even done it against the Packers, but I'd have to go back and look. But, he has done it in practically every game this year. It's like, how does he pull it off? It's spectacular, honestly. He's great, and we're just so lucky to have him. And a great heady player. And you know what? He had kind of a quiet game overall, aside from what I would call, when I do my player grades, when I watch back the game, I call it a triple X play, right? It's where you get, excuse me, credit for just what you're doing on the play, whether it be run defense, coverage, something like that. Then you get credit for the turnover. Then you get credit for the touchdown. So I call it a triple X play. So we had a triple X play on that one. And then he actually ended up kind of being in coverage, giving up a touchdown later in the game, which kind of evened out his day. And he had kind of a quiet week the week before. So I think the good thing about Van Ginkel or Van G is that if he's not being great, he's at least being good. And you never get a bad game out of that guy. So what can you say? Okay. On the very next drive, Rodgers throws a pick to Cam Bynum. And I was kind of asking myself in that moment, is this guy cooked? And I was like, okay, I don't think he's necessarily completely cooked per se, but I don't think he's physically good anymore, if that makes any sense. And I don't know if he ever will be again, right? He's 41 years old. He's never going to get more physically healthier, stronger, whatever the case may be from this point forward, right? It's only going to deteriorate further and further down. And so when you also look at his mental side, if he's not front running and winning, he's a miserable dude. So again, I know I've kind of harped on this, but just when you talk about Rodgers from a physical and a mental standpoint, I only think that it's just downhill from here. I don't think how does he go up from here? I think it's all bad news for the Jets, honestly. All right. Based on what I saw in that game, I think the Jets have the best secondary we've seen all season long, easily, as when it's in terms of like the group talent, and that was even with Michael Carter not playing. I think he hurt himself in warmups, but man, when you have guys like Sauce Gardner and you have DJ Reed and then some of the other guys that they have in depth, they had an outstanding game. It was really impressive. Every single catch felt like it was contested, and I just more often than not, it just felt like the corners were always just right there with our receivers, and we don't have average receivers. We have great receivers. So the fact that they were able to keep up with our guys, that's even more. It makes it even more impressive. It just speaks to how good these are. It's just I couldn't say any words any more highly about how well they played. I mean, it was very, very. I mean, obviously, it hurt us in terms of our offense trying to sustain drives, but it was very just impressive to watch. Honestly, it's just a football fan. So let's see. So I just, Sauce, I thought he might be a little bit overrated, just kind of like as a name guy, a high draft pick. I think maybe people think, oh, this guy is a, number one corner in the league, a shutdown guy. I wouldn't say he's that good. I wouldn't say he's a shutdown guy. I'd say he's very good. But the guy that really kind of piqued my interest the most was DJ Reed, who I think did play on the outside some, but I think he's mostly their nickel/slot guy. But I just think that Reed in particular might be the best player in that secondary, and I think it might be right now. He could just be like an all-pro for them for years and years. So, kudos to them. And it feels like every single week that we've played a team and I've talked about a defense, there's been like one guy that's really stood out, who I've been like, watch out for this guy, because this guy I think might be, top of his class going forward. Okay. Looked like KOC to me was looking for a kill shot early in the game. I think we might have been up like 10-0 at the time. And we ended up turning it over on downs, passing up on a field goal from Reichard. And I think, honestly, KOC maybe going forward should not be passing up field goal attempts with Will Reichard. Just when you consider the fact that he's been so good and so consistent, I think you can trust Will to go out there. If you're maybe even 55 and in, I think you can probably just let Will come out there. So that's what you're getting to, like down between the 35 and 40 yard line. If at any point you're in that range, and I know there are times when, especially if you're, losing, but I think at this point it's probably okay to take the 3, because Will is just, again, been so consistent, so reliable. So I figure going forward, KOC, trust Will. All right. Just with how well he's going. Okay, next up. I noted that that Justin Jefferson... No, I'm sorry, not... I love how we call him Jets, and then also we're playing the Jets, right? So it's confusing me on the notes. The Jets' run game was struggling, and it struggled all day. They did not run the ball... Not that they didn't run the ball well, they just didn't run the ball, period. And they just gave up. And, I mean, when you're down, the biggest lead we ever had in the game was 17 points. I mean, okay. It's basically 2 scores, a shade over 2 scores. If you score a third time, you're taking the lead if you have 2 touchdowns. Or at least tying. And so I just thought it was hilarious to me how Hackett was just so quick to abandon the run. And so it just kind of like confirmed my prediction in my previous show that Hackett would get dominated by Flores, because he certainly was. Flores had Hackett's number all day long. Certainly the Jets had a couple of really good drives, and I feel like that was kind of more on Rodgers taking what the defense gives him, Garrett Wilson making plays, Conklin made a couple of nice plays throughout the game. I just think that this was definitely a coaching mismatch, and Hackett just got owned by Flores. And so, just super, super weird considering the talent they have at running back for Hackett to just literally give up on the run game so early. It was like, okay, fine. So, our run defense, I think, ranks second in the league right now in yards allowed, which is just funny because I don't think our run defense is actually that good. It's just that we've gotten out to such big leads, and literally nobody is running the ball on us. And so far, so good. All right, so Aaron Jones, at this point in the game, he is officially out. I believe he asked to come out of the game after a 2nd and 3 run where he came up just short on a first down run. He got kind of sandwiched between a linebacker and a defensive back, and I think that's where he re-injured the hip. Because I had heard that it was kind of bugging him prior to that. So as we know, like I said, I'm recording this Wednesday. We know the MRI got done. There doesn't look to be anything significantly wrong with him. He is week to week, but we're on a bye, so it looks like Jones will probably be playing against Detroit. But as of right now, we don't really know that for sure, but it does look good right now. Okay. So, I just want to reiterate, he did not get hurt on the Mullins throw. He got hurt on a short yardage run. Okay. Chandler had a huge run. This was really soon after the Jones injury that got called back. O'Neal had some great blocking on this run. It would have been Chandler's biggest run of the game. And they ended up calling an illegal shift on Justin Jefferson, and they called him, I think the rule is when it comes to motion, is that if you are running parallel to the line of scrimmage, you can be in motion while the ball is snapped. But if you turn and face toward the line of scrimmage, you have to be still when the ball is snapped. And I think that when Jets turned toward the line of scrimmage there at the very end of the play, he was still kind of maybe, I don't know, hopping up and down or whatever you want to call it. There was some motion there. And so they got him on that, and it was all the way across the field. It had nothing to do with the play. Chandler lost out on like a 20-yard run for like kind of a ticky-tack call, but at the same time, Jefferson needs to know the rules, and so just stay still if you're facing the line of scrimmage next time, please. Okay, then we won't lose a nice run. This was actually the drive with all of the penalties. And I actually talked about this in my preview as well, where I thought this was going to be kind of a slimy, gritty, dirty game where I felt like the Jets were going to try and play a little bit dirty to just grind out a win against us, right? And I talked about how I thought the secondary was going to be really holdy and grabby all day long, and they were going to force the refs' hands to make the calls. Well, I don't know if the refs just happened to notice it on their own, or if the Vikings coaches maybe brought it up before the game, like, hey, watch out for this secondary. They really like to hold. They really like to grab. Either way, the refs were on them, and they were calling flag. They were throwing flag after flag after flag on the Jets secondary. And so I think they were trying to get away with as much as they possibly could. The refs weren't going for it. And so ironically, we continued throughout the game to throw the ball deep to Jefferson, or just deep in general, testing the secondary, who I said had very sticky, close coverage throughout the game. But it just makes me wonder if maybe that was the game plan, is that KOC wanted Darnold to continue to test the secondary over and over and see if he can get just like flag after flag after flag all game long. That, I would say, if that was the offensive game plan, to try and exploit the Jets' aggressiveness in the secondary, I would say maybe exploit it early in the game like you did, but then maybe back off away from it. Unless you see it kind of getting out of control again, then maybe kind of like throw one more shot and just remind them, hey, we're watching. But it just felt like maybe the Vikings were just using that as a sort of game plan to just make the Jets pay for playing aggressive. But at some point, the refs were letting it play out a little bit. So I think they kind of made their point early in the game, and Darnold kept throwing it deep, and the refs really didn't call a ton more after that point. I think we saw like one more beyond that. Anyway, just if that's a game plan theory, I would say maybe back off on that a little bit, because you're really putting the game in the hands of the referees. So anyway, it's not a winning philosophy, right? But at the very least, on that one particular drive, it did help us to get a touchdown. So in that case, it worked. But either way, what can you say? Just we don't want the refs to be too involved. Okay, so that CJ Ham touchdown play call was actually a thing of beauty in my opinion. Just it really had the Jets fooled. It was a great misdirection play. I don't think they were expecting it, and Ham went in almost untouched. So just what a great play call. I really love that one. I had one note about Rich Eisen. I know a lot of people got bothered by him because he's obviously a Jets fan. He talks about it all the time, calling a Jets game. It didn't really bother me that much. I felt like he tried his best to be neutral. I mean, yes, I could hear a little bit of extra excitement in his voice when the Jets did well, and it kind of made me laugh a little bit while I watched it. But my favorite Rich Eisen moment of the game was when he had back-to-back Oasis wordplay references. That was actually pretty funny. So for those of you who are watching it, if you remember that was kind of a funny moment. Anyway, our special teams once again ruined our momentum. Hang on. All right. So this time late in the first half, we're up 17-0. Ryan Wright hits a big punt out of our own end zone, and the coverage team allows a huge return. The Jets had the ball, I think, somewhere around the 30 or 35, and they polish off that very short drive with the Rodgers touchdown to Lazard, that kind of like jump ball touchdown that they had. And it's just something is going on with the special teams. I can't quite put my finger on it. I think it's the Gunners specifically, because I think Ryan Wright's had a good year. He's had a couple of bad punts here and there, but honestly, overall, he's been really good. Obviously, Will Reichard's been really good. Brandon Powell has been really good. That one Naylor situation was when Powell was out. Kickoff returns are almost kind of like not even really a thing. It's been the punt. I guess coverage and punt return, and it's not the returner itself, but just the guys, the unit playing around them. Something is up with these teams, and it needs to get fixed because they are trying to torpedo our games. So whatever it is that's going on, Coach Daniels needs to get it fixed. All right. I made a note here that, this was after the Jets touchdown. Okay, so we made a note here that Darnold was not having a good game. I mean, clearly. So he just was holding the ball for a really long time. He looked like he wasn't willing to pull the trigger when he should have. And when he did, he wasn't accurate. And I just think in hindsight, that early hit really affected him. And then I think if you couple that with the state of the condition of the turf, maybe because it was raining a little bit. I actually didn't really notice that it was an open air stadium, but I guess it is. So it looked more like a dome on TV, but I guess it is an open air stadium. But I just think this is a thing with Sam Darnold. I have talked about in the past about how he does kind of have a little bit of an it factor, and you did see that later in the game when the game got close again. He can just come out there and step right into a couple of really big throws to kind of help put a game away. I'm not saying that he has Patrick Mahomes' it factor, talent, but he has something to him where he's not afraid, where when a game is on the line, he can come in and make big throws, and he won't shrink in those big moments. But I definitely think that if you can get pressure on him early, and maybe if the conditions aren't quite in his favor or to his liking, that stuff can get in his head, and he can definitely get knocked out of the game a little bit mentally. So it's something to look out for. I actually think going forward, so long as Jones is healthy, the rest of the team stays healthy, and Hawkinson comes back, I actually think the offense is going to start to perform really, really well going forward, because I think Hawkinson is a big addition for Sam Darnold and how the offense operates. So I actually am not that worried about him. I think he's actually going to bounce back from this and play really, really well. So the funny thing for me in hindsight, Robert Saleh got interviewed heading into the locker room before halftime, and he said they got a couple of cheapies, right? Which I didn't really appreciate that comment. And so I actually said to myself when he said that, let's make him regret saying that. And then again, it's kind of ironic that he ends up getting fired 2 days later, because I'm like, well, he did. Whoops. Anyway. All right. So it couldn't be more clear. I have talked up Aaron Jones so much through the first 4 games, and just talked about how he's just the key to our offense and how well he has been playing. It just couldn't have been made more clear by his absence. I mean, midway through the second quarter, he's out, and our offense just goes completely stale. I think we scored like a grand total of 6 points beyond that point. And so, although Justin Jefferson might be our big play explosive guy, Jones does the little things, and you can't get to what Jefferson does without the stuff that Jones does. Jones literally is the grinder. He's the one that makes these things happen. So as long as you have Jones doing what he does, then that opens it up for Jefferson and Addison and Naylor to make those big plays. So Jones, he is just the key to our offense. We have to have him. Hopefully he plays against Detroit and comes back from this hip injury. So yeah, just another special teams mistake here. This time Evans has fair catch interference. So this was on punt coverage. And just the number of mental errors on special teams in this game just drove me freaking insane. This felt like one of those sloppy games where you're like, oh yeah, you know, neither team played really well. And then I go back and I watch it and I go, you know what? Actually, our offense and our defense played pretty well. Our special teams just killed us throughout this game. They kept putting the Jets in good positions. They kept putting us in bad positions. It was really frustrating to watch. Ivan Pace with a TFL. I think he had multiple TFLs. He definitely had a sack at some point. He's back, baby. And we needed him. I think what did he miss? 2 games? He makes more impact plays per snap than I think any defensive player that I can remember for the Vikings, or it's been a really long time. This guy, I don't know if there's anything he can do about just like his body type, because he is a little bit on the smaller side. So they're probably going to have to keep his reps down, because if he plays too much, he does get injured. But man, when he is on the field, even if you can get him out there for like 2/3 of the game, he will make some kind of huge play once every, like, I don't know, 8 to 10 plays. I mean, he is that good. He has all pro level talent. I just wish that they had put him. I mean, I actually don't, because had they put him into a bigger body, he would have been a first round pick. So he's with us now. So we're gonna take what we can get and use him for, you know, as much as we can to get that high level of play out of him. All right. So Darnold just continues to play inconsistently. Another instance in this game where he just held onto the ball too long. He took an untimely sack. I think that some of our offensive linemen, I think you might know who I'm talking about, got unjustly, I don't know, coming out of this game just berated because he gave up a certain number of pressures again. And I just think Darnold in this game just wasn't quite himself. I think he takes a little bit more of that heat. He should anyway, than the offensive line does. But anyway, I actually have a go look later on about Blake Brandel, because, and I'll just say it outright, I think if I'm hearing the shows, I didn't go look for myself. If I'm hearing from the shows that I watched correctly, Ed Ingram had a really poor pass protection grade. They say PFF says he gave up 5 pressures. I didn't see 5 pressures. He definitely had 2 really bad plays in this game that I made sure to note in my player grades. But I just thought, you know what? Again, I've mentioned this before, I think last week. If you're going to sit there and beat the crap out of Ed Ingram about the way he plays and on the bad plays that he makes, then you need to look at the other guard too and call him out when he makes bad plays also. And I chopped up a video of 6 Blake Brandel plays, and I'm going to show you from the Jets game where I'm like, tell me if Ed Ingram made a play like that, what the narrative would be, what the talk would be, okay? So this is just my point. Again, I just want to point out, I am a Vikings fan. I want every single Minnesota Viking to play well, okay? I wish the offensive line was perfect every game. That's not how football works. And my point is that if you're going to sit there and you're going to have the words Ed Ingram come out of your mouth on your show, you're going to make it a point to mention him and say that he needs to be replaced at some point, then don't sit there and say that to me and not acknowledge the fact that Blake Brandel has had 2 horrific games in a row. And I don't care what the PFF grades say, they're wrong. They're just flat out wrong. Blake has not been playing well. So anyway, rant over. I'm heated about this. I can't wait to show it to you later. All right. Ryan Wright had a couple of really great punts in this game. I have been talking him up all year, and nobody else is talking about him. So this was the one where Sherfield knocked it back into the field of play, and the returner grabbed it, and we tackled him at like the 2-yard line. Ryan Wright's having a great year. I don't care what these stupid punting statistics are, net average, inside the 20. I'm not saying they're like totally they don't, have some credence to them, but the really stagnant, just this is what a punter is stats is net average, inside the 20, and touchbacks, right? And there's just so much more to punting to that. And I think that Ryan Wright is becoming just a really interesting kind of nuanced kicker, and it's if people would pay attention to him and see what he's doing, I think they would really notice how high of a quality punter that we have. So I'm really looking forward to Ryan having a good year, continuing to have a good year, us signing him to an extension, and Ryan Wright being our punter for years to come. I am championing Ryan Wright. I am on the bandwagon. Okay, our defense gets a stop. The Jets are actually gifted a first down on a roughing the kicker call. It looked more like running into the kicker. They called it on Ivan Pace, actually, who, I mean, I'll be honest, he's just an aggressive player all around, so it doesn't shock me that he's going to get a penalty on special teams because the guy's just all gas all the time. But anyway, so in this case, it cost us, and the Jets' drive continued and ended up, resulting in points. So Rodgers took a bad hit, actually, on I think the play before the punt, where he looks like he hurt his lower half somewhere, and he was actually on his way to the blue tent. And then when he saw that the penalty happened and the offense was back on the field, he just did a little U-turn, a little 180, and said, "Never mind, I'm going to go back in and play." So who knows how bad the injury actually was. I think he did say he had a lower ankle injury that maybe he's fighting through. But hey, at 41 years old, I mean, I'm 46. I understand it, man. If you even get little aches and pains, they're going to affect you. So that might hurt him a little bit going forward. All right. Garrett Wilson had a pretty nice game, in my opinion. He made a lot of plays from the third quarter on, so he had a really nice second half. And it was kind of a coming out for him in a little bit. I'm not saying that he hasn't had like a coming out game or a great game so far in his career, but he had definitely been kind of like on a downward trend and needed a game like this to kind of get back. And so I don't know if he's going to have a chance to really blossom into the receiver that he's meant to be with Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback. But I think the Jets definitely have a really good player on their hands. And I think if they can somehow continue to develop Breece Hall and that other running back that they have, I forget his name offhand. I mean, I knew it going into the game. I don't know it anymore. But Breece Hall, I remember. And so just they have a good handful of good young players on offense on that team that if they can just continue to foster and develop and then bring in a quarterback who actually likes playing quarterback and wants to be a leader and wants to be a part of their team, we'll see if they can get one, right? Woody Johnson, terrible owner, but we'll see if he gets lucky and gets one. Anyway, good job, Garrett Wilson, in that game. Okay. You could feel the momentum shifting in that game late. And it was the thing that we all kind of feared. I think we all went into that game really feeling that, oh, man, this London game, I don't know what to think of this. It just feels so kind of grimy. Just please let us get out of here with a win. And it's like as soon as you felt that momentum shifting, right, we get out to the early lead, we start to lose the lead. We're like, here we go again. It's happening again. And the Jets were just starting to move the ball a little bit. Our tackling was starting to get a little bit sloppier. And it felt like we were falling off a little bit, but the defense came up with a huge stop and held them to a field goal. So instead of it becoming 17-14, it became 17-10. I just felt like that was a really good kind of momentum-killing moment for the defense to really just kind of stop the Jets in their track because things were not looking good at that point. All right. This game was exactly like I had expected it to go, except I did not predict a quick start. I didn't think we could pull off another quick start. I thought maybe it felt a little bit greedy to expect that again. But the game ended up just being kind of mucky, and we had to kind of sludge our way through this one for the win. And so it ended up being the kind of game that I thought it was going to be, and I'm just glad that we got the win, as I was saying in the previous show. It really could have gone a lot better if it weren't for those special teams mistakes that I mentioned. There were just so many of them. The offense got stagnant in the second half, obviously, with Jones out, and just penalties on both sides, a lot of sloppiness all around. Just a classic London game, right? All right, I believe Darnold finished his game with below 50% completions, which you almost never see in the NFL, at least not from good veteran quarterbacks. He was just off all game long. His accuracy was off. He was taking a lot of deep shots that he probably shouldn't have. They weren't paying off for him. He did draw some penalties, but all in all, just maybe back to the drawing board with that performance. Wright just hits another great punt. He has another great game. Like I said before, I don't know if anyone's going to notice, but I am championing Ryan Wright from this point forward. I actually have been already, but I'll continue to do it from this point forward. Pace, yet again, making huge plays. A 3-and-out finished off by a Pace sack. Just Ivan Pace being an all-pro on our defense whenever he's on the field. A terrible Morstead punt and a great catch by Powell. It was kind of like a running catch because I think Morstead was punting out of his end zone, and instead of kicking it really far like Wright did, he kicked it inside the 50. So there couldn't have been more than like 40, 45 air yards on that. And Powell made a nice job running up and grabbing it. And I think we had maybe the ball at like the 35 or so. So just a really excellent field position. And although our offense just couldn't do anything with the ball, it, at the very least, with that starting position, allowed us to go for another 3 points, which Reichert made. And so it gave us a chance to close out this game. But we didn't capitalize on that. We took the field goal, but Reichert made 2 from 50 plus, and I think at that point we were up 20, was it 23-10? Anyway, I can't remember. Because at some point they made it 23-17, but yeah, because then they were driving to try and take the lead. But it was still it was a nice situation where our offense, even though they couldn't move the ball, the good field position allowed us to get the 3. Okay. The interception by Sam Darnold really kind of screwed us because it gave the Jets a second wind, really, when their offense was back to just like not doing anything, and it had been quite a while. And so that interception by Darnold just, it gave him that extra energy, that second life. And just again, that Jets secondary just had such a great game. Man, I'm already past 40 minutes. I'm really rambling on this one. All right, we're almost done though. Okay. The Jets offense started to move at that point. Rodgers was really playing into that whole dink and dunk style, and he was getting the ball out to Garrett Wilson to let Garrett make plays with his legs. I think at one point we had a PI on Gilmore on that drive, and there was an eventual touchdown to Garrett Wilson to kind of punctuate that to get the Jets close. What did we score in this game? Was it 20 or? Anyway, I can't remember the final score. It was either 23-17 or 20-14. No, that's right. The Jets did score a touchdown, so it was 23-17. Sorry, it's just, yeah, it's been a few days. But anyway, so I wouldn't go so far as to say that Stephon Gilmore got exposed in this game, because he didn't. He didn't give up any big plays or explosive plays. But I did notice that he played off a lot in this game and gave up kind of like 6 to 8 yard catches, and he made good tackles. But they definitely went after him more so than any other quarterback or offense has done so far this year. And so I think maybe they were kind of exposing the fact that if you want to pick up a quick first down on Gilmore, he's probably not going to be playing a lot of like tight man-to-man coverage. But again, just like the savvy veteran comes up with the big interception to end the game, right? And Justin Jefferson having issues catching the ball late in the game again. This is the second time it's happened. I would say if it happens again, it might be it's maybe time to worry. I don't know, but hopefully he gets it fixed, because I don't know if it's a concentration thing or what. But I hate seeing him. We had opportunities. There was one in particular that was thrown behind him, but I mean, Hall of Famers make that catch, and that would have been a first down. It would have kept the drive going late in the game. And so I don't want to think too much about it, because I really think highly of Justin Jefferson and think that he can do anything. And so I don't think he's going to be a yips guy, but I'd love to see that go away, honestly. And yeah, it gave me anxiety to be up 6 late. I hate if you're up by anything between 3 and 7, 4, 5, or 6. That's a terrible spot to be in, because there's this thing where they say you're up by one score. Okay, there was a difference between up by one score, where when the other team scores, they tie you, or when the other team scores and they take the lead. Okay, because once a team scores, it takes the lead. You're no longer in the lead. You're now losing. Okay, so being up one score, I wish that phrase would actually kind of go away, at least when they're broadcasting the game, because if the other team scores to take the lead, that's just a really bad position to be in. So I really hated us being up 6, but again, Gilmore with just the great interception to end it. I mean, the Jets were driving. I was biting my nails, but great job by Gilmore to close that one out, and we're 5-0. So that ends the game notes. Okay. So let me cross that off. That was long-winded, man. It took me 45 minutes to get through my game notes. It's been a long night. All right, so let's move on to some Vikings views real quick. Okay. I'll try and get through them fast. In no particular order. This is just random thoughts that I had throughout the week. Just a minor roster note. Myles Gaskin and Robert Tonyan flip-flop. Gaskin is back up to the 53-man roster. Tonyan was released, and he is signed back to the practice squad. So those two guys are interchangeable apparently right now, and it wouldn't shock me to see Tonyan, whatever, called back up on game day because Nick Muse is still out. I think he has 2 more games to go. I think he played in the 49ers game, right? Because he recovered the onside. So, actually, that was game 2, so maybe he's 3 in. So we'll see if he's back sooner than later. We'll find out. Okay. What's next? Here we go. All right, so it's safe to say that we can cool it on the Sam Darnold MVP and extension talk, right? Which I did say, this is J.J. McCarthy's team in 2025 and beyond. I don't care what Sam Darnold does. Obviously, I want him to play really well. Hell, if he wins a Super Bowl for us this year, I would be ecstatic and over the moon. And then I would also be like, bye. You know, go enjoy that next contract. J.J. McCarthy is our quarterback. He will take over, and he will win us Super Bowls going forward. But I just am so glad that maybe Darnold had a couple of down games to help kind of cool off that talk, because it was really bothering me. Because, no, we're not. Sam Darnold's not going to be our quarterback going forward. I don't know where this narrative is coming from. It's like we're so thirsty for good quarterback play. This is what we did with Kirk. If Kirk gave us just like the littlest amount of bordering on great quarterback play, suddenly we were like, oh my God, give him 10 years and $1 billion. It's like, no, dude, you can find great quarterback play for on rookie scale contracts or for less money. It's like you don't have to just cream yourself over a guy who's had a few good games in a row. It's like, settle down, honestly. Anyway, I actually don't think he played as badly as most people think he played. I just thought it was, again, one of those things where the field conditions were kind of weird. He got hit early in the game. He's trying to test an aggressive secondary, and just all of these things kind of came into play and combined into not a great game, but not his worst game either. Even though I think some people would say it was his worst game, I actually think the week before might have been his worst game. But anyway, I'll say this. Here is one thing that I will say about Sam Darnold, and that's this. The ghosts thing, there might be something to it, because if you get a hit on him early in the game, it gets him thinking. It gives him a little bit of those happy feet. He starts not wanting to really step into all of his throws, and that, in essence, starts to affect his accuracy. Maybe he starts to make some more turnover-worthy plays. So it's definitely a thing. So I wouldn't say that we need to continue to mock him for saying that I'm seeing ghosts, but I think that much like most other quarterbacks in the league, if you get a hit on a guy early, if you get pressure in his face early, he's going to get skittish and he's going to make mistakes. So he's much like any other quarterback we've ever had. All right. We have an identifiable weakness on our offense, and I think that the Jets exposed it or exploited it. When the defense shows potential pressure, and this is much like what we do to opposing offenses, when they show potential pressure from multiple locations and then make you guess which side it's coming from. It could be one guy from this side, it could be one guy from this side, it could be both, you never know. But making you they always send at least one additional guy than what they're than what the defensive line is showing, right? So you're rushing 4, rushing 3, rushing 4. They'll have at least one extra guy coming. You just never know where he's coming from, and you have multiple guys showing that they're coming. And you don't know which guy it's going to be, and that is just super creative, and it definitely. It caused Darnold problems. It causes him to have to kind of read and react to that, to look at it pre-snap, look at it post-snap if he can when he's trying to get the ball away. And then it also forces our offensive line to make adjustments on the fly, to communicate and switch on the fly. And they're not really great at that, at least not yet. Or, I mean, they've been working together for a while now. Maybe it'll never come. Maybe this is just who they are. I'm not sure. So it's definitely kind of a Flores philosophy where you're putting pressure on the offense. You're forcing them to make choices that are maybe uncomfortable for them, that they don't want to make. And it causes problems for our offense. Our offense is susceptible to this type of a defensive style as well. So, there were examples in this game, for instance, just Darnold not setting his protections for potential blitzers, not switching a running back from one side to the other to pick up a blitzer, maybe not accounting for how many blockers he has available to protect. So just if you don't have enough guys, even if that guy doesn't come, it's like you want to make sure you're protected. So, and then just one other thing that defenses have been doing that's really been hurting us is delayed blitzes. Delayed blitzes have really been hurting us because I think that we're maybe good about being prepared for what's coming pre-snap, but then not reacting well to things when they come after the ball has been snapped. And I just think when extra unexpected guys are coming, our offensive line really hasn't been good at communicating and switching properly and picking those guys up. So that's something to look out for. I think the defenses in general in the NFL have picked up on this, and they're going to start using this against us. Something I forgot to mention, actually. I purposely wore a jersey tonight because I haven't worn a jersey for any show yet. I've been wearing collared shirts and t-shirts and sweatshirts and things like that, but I actually do own 4 jerseys. I've been a fan for 37 years. I only own 4 jerseys. I know some people own a lot. The very first one I ever bought was actually a Chris Carter. I've owned that one forever. The second one I got was actually as a not a gift, but I think I won it in some kind of fantasy football challenge, and I have a Dante Culpepper. The third one I got, I think it was a gift, like Christmas or birthday or something. I got a Jared Allen. And then the fourth one I got was actually an Adam Thielen, but unfortunately, you can tell with this jersey's got that netting look to it. The Thielen jersey's got kind of a thicker material, and I don't know, there's something about the way we bought it maybe 3 years ago. Something about the way that the jersey is constructed with the collar and the shoulders and stuff. It doesn't quite sit right. It doesn't feel, and it's a little bit hot. So I never wear that one. I like it, but I never wear it. So maybe I'll just end up framing it or something. But anyway, those are the 4 jerseys that I am. Okay. So on the plus side of everything that I've just been talking about, our offense technically has not faced a bad defense so far this year. According to PFF, we have actually faced the tied for 5th, not tied, but 12th, 16th, 17th, and 18th ranked defenses so far this year. Now, these rankings aren't necessarily eye-popping, with 4 of the 5 teams being between 12 and 18, so they're not inside the top 10. But the point is that through 5 games, we have essentially faced 5 consecutive top half of the league defenses, more or less. And so there really hasn't been any gimmies yet to this point. So there have definitely been great defensive players, really good defensive groups, sometimes even elite defensive groups on every single defense we've faced. And I mean, when you consider where they're ranking right now, maybe you take out what we've done to those defenses, they might even be ranked a little bit higher. So I think it goes a long way to kind of show how well our offense has been playing, because we haven't played a bad defense yet this year. There haven't been any breaks for our guys. There's never been here's a defense we can really take advantage of. Every defense has been capable. It's had a lot of talent, varying degrees of just talent at positions, talent, individual guys, talent, position groups, that kind of thing. And honestly, it's not going to get easier, at least not next week. And we knew that because the Lions are a perennial Super Bowl contender. They're going to be a worthy challenge. They're actually currently ranked second, according to PFF, in terms of overall defensive grade right now, as of today. We'll see how that continues against the Cowboys this coming week. But as of right now, the Lions are ranked second. So the Lions are playing Dallas, and Dallas is coming off a dramatic win at Pittsburgh, which was very impressive, and it kind of saved their season in a way. And so it's kind of a late night, not a late night, but a late afternoon game in Dallas. It's probably going to be nationally televised, so it's kind of a quasi primetime game. They're probably going to get the Jim Nantz, Tony Romo team, right? And if they get that game, they're going to come into our game 4-1, and our game against them is going to be for the division. So that Detroit-Dallas game is going to be a big, big matchup to watch. All right. I wanted to talk a little bit about this, and that is what we held teams to and then what they have averaged from this point forward, and then also what PFF score we held teams to and then what their PFF score is for the season. So, for instance, we held the Giants to 6 points. Their average without our game is 20.75 points. That's 2 touchdowns below their average. We held them to a 53.9 PFF score, which was their lowest for the season through 5 games. Their overall season PFF score is 69.9. So we're holding them like 15, 16 points lower than their season average. All right. The Niners, we held to 17 points. Their season average, 26.25 points. We held them 9 points below their average. And then we held them to a 72.3 PFF score. Their average score for the season, which was their second lowest for the year, their average is 87.5. So we held them 13 below their PFF average. The Texans, we held to 7. Their average is 23.75. So we actually held them to like 16 points below their average points per game this season. We held the Texans to a 63.6 PFF score, their lowest of the year. Their average so far this year has been 78.3. So what is that? 25 points? No, sorry, 15 points below their average. So then the Packers game was the one game where our defense wasn't impressive. We allowed the Packers to score 29 points. Their season average, not including the game, is 24.75. So they actually scored about 4 points more against us than they have against other teams. But we did hold them to an overall 64.7 PFF grade, which was their second lowest of the season, and their overall season score is a 69.6. So it was still like 5 points lower in terms of their PFF score, even though they scored some extra points. And a lot of that had to do with just them being so super aggressive, trying to score to catch back up in that one. And then finally in the Jets game, they scored 17. Their average is 19. And we held them to a 61.4 PFF. Their overall season, average grade is 70, or their grade right now is 70.5. So we held them like 9 points below their average. So I wanted to point out how we're holding teams 4 out of 5 times to lower scores than what they average throughout the season against other teams. We're holding teams to, on 2 occasions, their lowest PFF score of the year, and on 3 occasions, their second lowest PFF score. And then in every occasion, they had a lower PFF score against us than they are averaging for the season. So clearly the defense, no matter who the opponent is taking care of business, okay? Now, the Vikings, I averaged out what they've been allowing overall through 5 games, and the average overall PFF score through 5 games is 63.18, and that would actually rank as the 3rd lowest in the NFL right now for all defenses if I just averaged out those 5 games and what those 5 teams scored against us. Okay. With the exception of the second half against the Packers, the Vikings defense has basically held every offense they faced to worse production than what is expected. And I think that's kind of what I'm pointing out here. So you take that into account, then you take into account that the defense ranks 4th in points allowed. They are 2nd in sacks. They are 2nd in turnovers. And on 3rd and 4th downs combined, they have only allowed 22 of 71 conversions, which is only good for 23.6% on second or third down. That'll be good for first in the NFL if they combine the two, which is just super, super impressive. So the defense is off to a great start, and I think it's only going to get better from here. Okay. I wanted to talk about our turnovers and penalties so far this year. So I feel like our coaches' game preparation has been excellent so far this year, and that the penalties and the turnovers are on the players. And here's my proof, okay? The team has a total of a plus 63 differential right now, just overall, in terms of what we've scored versus what our opponents have scored. But we're 48-3 in the first quarter alone, which is a differential of 45, leaving only a plus 18 for the remaining 15 quarters of football we've played. Okay, so right out the gate, our offense, or our whole entire team, is playing great. Okay, so if I were to start this statistic after the Ham fumble in the Giants game, which was the Giants had the ball, a quick 3-and-out. We had our little 3-and-out. Ham fumbled, then the Giants had a handful of plays. They got a field goal. I'm starting it beyond that point. Okay, opposing offenses on first drives, according to me, 27 plays, and this is through 5 games, 27 plays, 89 yards, 3 punts, an interception, and a missed field goal, and 0 points. In that same time frame, our offense on our first drives, according to me, 37 plays, 244 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 field goal, 1 punt, 24 points. Okay, so again, this is a testament to how the coaching staff has our team prepared to start games. So we have 9 giveaways this year, which is tied for the worst with the Raiders and the Titans, teams we are clearly better than. And then we have 37 accepted penalties, which is tied for 8th worst in the NFL. So, and I know our special teams in particular has been really hurting us in these areas. So the players need to get better in these areas, and it's up to them to execute when they're on the field. I feel like the coaches are doing their job appropriately. This is not on them. This is on the players. Players do better. All right. We have literally already hit an hour, guys. I'm going to go through these player grades pretty quick. Let me just pull up my spreadsheet. Okay, and we're just going to run through this real fast. So I had the defense at a plus 15. I had Bynum, Pace, and Grenard all with plus 5s, all having what, in my opinion, equated to like perfect days. I'm not saying they played perfectly, but what I mean is they had no red plays. Harrison Phillips also had no red plays. He had 2 great rush plays. He's a plus 2. Shaq had a really solid game. He ended up at a plus 2. He had 1 bad coverage snap, but other than that, he played really solid. Just like I talked about before, Van Kegel had that triple X play, but then also was in coverage when they gave up that touchdown late to Garrett Wilson. So he ended up at a plus 1. Tillery had 1 nice run stop. He ended up at a plus 1. Byron Murphy, again, he's kind of an up and down guy. This is going to be his year every year, or his game every game. Ups and downs, lots of red, lots of green, but he's really active, and he gets kind of attacked a lot. So he ended up with an even day, which is good. Dallas Turner ended up with an even day. He had 1 really nice run defense, and then 1 where he got kind of wiped out. Jihad Ward had an even day. He had a couple of nice plays and a couple of bad plays. And in fact, both Dallas Turner and Jihad Ward are going to come up in my Go Look segment. Blake Cashman is a guy that I'm not ready to quite talk about it yet because I have a lot of film to go over, but just like I did with Blake Brandel, I'm going to put together a video segment about Blake Cashman, the Blakes, apparently, because people have just been gushing over this guy. His PFF grade is way up there. People have been gushing about him every single game. If you were to juxtapose the way people talk about Ed Ingram and how poorly they talk about him, the flip side of that is how well people have been talking about Blake Cashman, and I have some things to say about that. So I had him at a -1 for this game, which is actually one of his better games, honestly, so far for the year. Harrison Smith, he gave up a touchdown at one point, but did have a really nice sack, so I had him at a -1, but overall an even day. Metellus was actually kind of quiet in this one. He had kind of like one weird tackle where he couldn't get a guy to the ground. And then finally, just the worst graded guy for the day was Stephon Gilmore on defense. Simply because they just kind of went after him quite a bit. He was forced to cover Garrett Wilson quite a bit, which, a receiver with that kind of talent is going to get you. But man, he still came through. He saved our bacon, as they say, with that late interception. So I'll take a -3 day from Gilmore if he gives us that every week. All right, then on offense, I had us at a +12. Aaron Jones, I had him off to a great start at a +5. Man, he was off and running until that hip caught up with him. Jefferson had a few red plays in this one, but lots and lots of green. He ended up at a +5. Just playing like he does. If you can just clean up some of those little things like that weird penalty that called back the Chandler run and those 2 drops that he had at some point, just if you can clean up some of that stuff, he's going to be back to that elite level that we know. Johnny Mundt had an oddly really good day at a +3. CJ Ham with a touchdown. He had a nice day at a +2. Addison was actually kind of quiet, but he drew a penalty, had a nice catch at one point. He was at a +2. Sam Darnold, I thought, despite the way the day went, had lots and lots of really good throws. He had a couple of good runs. He even made that nice tackle on that Chandler fumble. So despite some of his errors throughout the game, I actually had him ending up at a +2. Gaskin had one nice little dump off catch. Mullins had that one nice throw. Bradbury had kind of an up and down game, which he's wont to do. He's kind of like maybe the Byron Murphy of the offense, right? He's going to have a lot of red on a lot of green. He's up and down. Oliver had an even day, just one good run block, one bad. Chandler got kind of screwed because of that weird fumble on that pitch, but he had some decent runs. Honestly, it's hard for me to grade Chandler in a system like this because I'm going to point out in my go look that he left a lot of yards on the field, but he's turning runs up where he could have had 15, 20 yards. He's turning runs up and gaining 5, and so I'm like, well, that's technically a good run. I can't downgrade. I can't give you a red on that. I mean, you had a positive run, but man, he leaves a lot of yards on the field, boy. I tell you what. So anyway, he had in my opinion, an even day. O'Neal, again, I've talked about this before. When offensive linemen and the secondary, if you have a quiet day, that means you had a great day. So like Gilmore's been having quiet days, right? That means he's been playing great. He had a much more loud game in this one because they went after him, and so you see a lot of color next to his name. So you don't want that. You want a lack of color. So Brian O'Neal just had that one penalty down by the goal line, which we ended up scoring anyway. So Brian had a really nice day. And just something I noticed was that I really don't have the ability to, the way that I watch the film back, I don't have the ability to give out positive grades on pass blocking unless it's something really obvious. Just when the line in general is just pass blocking really well, it's just kind of like a kudos to the offensive line. But I definitely notice when they have bad pass blocking reps, and of course run blocking can go either way. So you're going to see offensive linemen kind of grade out even to maybe negative, but the closer they keep it to even or like maybe a slightly above, that bodes well for them. So then Christian Darrisaw ended up at a -1. He had some. He looked pretty good in the run blocking game and had a couple of bad pass blocking reps. Ed Ingram, obviously, as we know, had a couple of bad pass blocking reps, but had a couple of really good run blocking reps. He also had the penalty, which I'm going to talk about in the go look. I don't agree with it, but I had him at a -1 for the day. And then my biggest loser for the day, at least on the offense, was Blake Brandel, who had, what did he have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He had 7 negative plays on the day, in my opinion, and then 1 positive play. So for some reason, nobody's talking about Blake Brandel, though, this week. I don't know why. Maybe it's because his name isn't catchy. He's not named Ed Ingram. He's not a guy we drafted in the 2nd round 3 years ago who deserves to be torn down every single week, apparently, because PFF hates him. Anyway. Ryan Wright with a +2 for special teams. I had special teams coming out even because we had a lot of good and we had a lot of bad. He had 3 great punts, 1 kind of iffy punt that I was like, it was enough for me to downgrade it because I was like, you didn't get enough air yards on that. That kind of, maybe downgrade it. So anyway, Reichard with the 2 +50s. He's at a +2. Brandon Powell had a nice return. Camus Grugier Hill had a nice punt coverage snap. Trent Sherfield had that one where he saved it from touching back. That was a great play. Ivan Pace had a really great kick coverage, and then he also had the penalty, so he ended up even. Asamoah, I'm going to show this in the go look. He just had like a lack of effort early on kick coverage. And then Caleb Evans and Jay Ward were both horrible with negative threes. I mean, how many special teams plays are there even in a game? As many as 10 tops? And you guys are both negative 3? I mean, just a bad day for both of those guys. Really, really frustrating. So anyway, there's your player grades. All right, we're at an hour 10. What do we have left here? We've done that. We've done that. Okay, we're going to go do our go look. All right, so that's where we're at now. So we're going to run our graphic here. Sorry, hold on. I screwed up. Turn it off. Turn it back on. Run it back. That's my bad. That's my bad. We are going to transition.
Go look.
And transition back. So I'm still getting the hang of that. Anyway, okay, so now we are going to the Go Look segment. We're pulling up our browser. We're going to take a look at our Go Look segment. Okay, and I've only been doing 5. I'm actually going to do 12, and I'm going to do 6 for Blake Brandel. So I think this is going to be an hour and a half long show. So here we go. So we're going to start off with this very first one. This is the Brian Asamoah kickoff return coverage. Just a lack of effort that I just happened to notice. Let's see. Is that big enough? Yeah, you guys can see that. Okay, let's let that play out. So here's the kick. So you're going to notice Asamoah. Okay. Coming in right here. Here is, are you guys able to see that? Yeah, here we go. Here's where the hole is developing right here. This guy's either going to go here or he's going to go here. Here's Asamoah. He's kind of like your second level of defense, I guess, in this case, right? Because all these guys, they've got hats on hats. And watch Asamoah as he just gets easily blocked right out of this play, allowing that guy to... Now, fortunately, guys like Ham and Evans and Pacer there to clean it up, but man, his effort on that was just blech. Anyway, all right, so next up, okay, I had, you know what, hold on, let me look at my spreadsheet real quick just to kind of confirm where. Okay, this is a Darnold sack here, so let's go back. Okay, let's watch this Darnold sack. So you see this safety out here threatening to blitz. There is actually 8 seconds left on the play clock here. Now, you have a guy threatening to blitz over here, but you also have Josh Oliver available to block, okay? Whereas when you're looking at this safety over here, you know these two guys are going on routes. You have nobody helping Darisaw. Darisaw has a defensive end outside of him. You need to ask Chandler to switch sides to come over here to pick up this safety blitz. But for some reason, even with the 8 seconds left on the play clock, Darnold decides to just let the play out, and then in addition to that, turn his back to the safety and just take the sack. Really baffling, in my opinion. Just a really poor pre-snap read, in my opinion. I will watch it play out. I just don't get it at all. It was way too easy. I don't understand what Darnold was looking at. At the very least, he needs to be looking for a hot read to get the ball out of his hands. But for some reason, he drops back. He's looking for a play down the field. I don't know. That one just didn't make any sense to me. Okay, next up. All right, let's see what we got. We've got Pace and Turner back-to-back on run defense stops. Okay, this is the Pace play. So you're going to see him right here. Here's Pace. There you got a 3rd and 2. This was actually kind of early in the game, second quarter, 5 minutes in. Watch Pace come right through here and knife through and just take care of this run. Boom. Look at him. He's so good about just hitting the knees and just chopping guys down. So then I'm going to let it play, and then you're going to see Dallas Turner come on. Hold on. Rewind it just a little. Okay. You're going to see Dallas Turner. He is right down here. He's starting to make some plays when he gets onto the field. They're running this now. This is a 4th and 2. This is a big moment, okay? He's going to come right off the edge. He's going to get to this guy. I don't know which guy it is. It might be Hall. It might be the other guy. He gets to him and spins him down, and then Cashman's there for the cleanup and holds him well short. It wasn't even close, so just watch this. So watch here. Here's Turner right here. Watch him make this play on this 4th and 2. Beautiful. Beautiful. He knows it, too. What a beautiful play. Great job, Dallas. I mean, he's not getting that many snaps, but when he gets on there, he's making them count. All right, so this play is Chandler, and I'm saying, Ty, make a guy miss, please. Okay, so I believe he's going to run this direction. And I'm going to pause it at a certain point. You're going to see literally every single blocker, it's hat on hat. And there's one free guy and Ty Chandler. And all you're asking from Ty Chandler is to just make one guy miss. And then that's your job as running back. You make that one guy miss, and then you have a chunk play. You have a long touchdown run. So let's just let it play. We're going to pause it when all hats are on hats. All right. Here we go. Hat on hat. Okay, so you see this, right? Block, 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 block. Everybody's doing their job. Everyone's doing their job. Ty's got the ball. Now, technically, I believe the hole is here, and you do have this guy coming through. I don't know if that's a linebacker or a safety. It's Ty Chandler's job. This is the kind of stuff Aaron Jones does. He makes this guy miss. I don't know if he cuts it back through here. I don't know if he takes it outside. Aaron Jones will pick up 15, 20 plus yards on a play like this. Ty Chandler, instead, even with all guys being blocked except one, can't make one guy miss, and it ends up just kind of being a little 5-6 yard gain. And there's so much more left on the field available that we could have had there. Just make that one guy miss. Okay, so then this next play is me telling Ty, put your foot in the ground and break it to the outside and score a touchdown. So you got to watch this one. All right, this is down near the goal line. Again, we end up scoring on this drive with CJ Ham to make it 17-0. But again, I want you to watch. So you see this play is going to the right here, okay? Now, he's being handed the ball here, okay? What we have going on here is we have a receiver, I think, blocking a safety here. You're going to have, is this Ham coming out? Ham's going to get a piece of this guy. Again, you have one guy on the outside. This guy's way too far away to make a play. You have one guy on the outside. So you would think, Chandler, okay, are you going to try and squeeze through this here? Or are you going to maybe put your foot in the ground, juke this guy, take this ball to the outside and score a touchdown? Well, we'll see what he does. Takes it back up inside and gains 3-4 yards. And again, he sets us up for the Ham touchdown, which is great. I appreciate that. He didn't screw up. But there were yards on. He could have scored a touchdown. All he has to do there, let's see the exact moment where he needs to put his foot into the ground and make a play. It's right here. Put your foot, instead of turning that back up the way he is, he's planting his foot right here, ready to take this ball inside. He could be planting his foot to spring himself outside to take this ball outside and totally just leave this guy in the dust. But instead, he just gives the guy an easy play to the inside. It's DJ Reed, actually. Anyway, I digress. I want more from Ty. I'm not loving it. Okay, so on this occasion, Ryan Wright, he actually is backed up all the way to the back of his end zone. He kicks the ball 68 yards in the air, which is what you want your punter to do in this situation, okay? He put the ball way out there. I think it was fielded at the Jets' 38-yard line, okay? So then you need your gunners to make a play on this, right? There's no such thing. If you're kicking out of your own end zone, there's no such thing as out-kicking your coverage. That is not a thing. Your gunners need to make a play. So what we're going to see here is we're going to see Wright kick the heck out of this ball, okay? Boom. He sends it all the way out. This ball's fielded at the Jets' 38-yard line. So you see here, I believe we've got Jay Ward here, and we've got a Caleb Evans here. I could be wrong. It could be vice versa, but those are the two guys. They've got this. At least it looks like they do. They have both beaten their guys, and I think it's this guy's job here. He's probably going to want to try and contain, and it's this guy's job to then kind of knife in and make the tackle, right? Because you don't want this guy to get more field. You want to kind of contain him. This guy, he's got the sideline working for him. He needs to knife in there and make that tackle. Well, he does not do that. In fact, both guys, watch this, run right by him. So now both of our gunners are out of the play. This guy has the entire field to work with, and then he's just, there's a bad angle. There's a bad angle. Multiple bad angles. Finally, Theo gets him. He's got the ball at the 30-yard line. And this is when the Jets make their little comeback. All right, what's the next play here? This is a first down play with Jihad and Cashman. I've got 3 consecutive Cashman plays here. So then it was Turner and Cashman, and then Cashman by himself. Okay, so Jihad Ward, who is right here, he's supposed to be in on third downs. He's in on first down for some reason here. I don't know why. But watch him as he gets cleanly double-teamed and move right out of the way. But then watch Cashman just nonchalantly not fill the run gap here. All right, so there's Ward getting washed out. I need to rewind this so you can really kind of... I'll pause it as I go. Okay, so you're going to watch Jihad Ward. He is double-teamed here. He's getting completely washed out. Here's Cashman. Now, the guy playing next to him, we don't have pace in this game. If it were pace would probably be knifing in right now to try and make a play on this. Metellus is not an instinctual linebacker. He's a safety. So this is Cashman. He needs to handle this. Jihad Ward is clearly getting pushed out here. Cashman needs to fill this hole and make this tackle. Okay? What's he do? He's already stopping here. Okay, he's stopping his momentum. He's letting Jihad and these blockers get in his way. This running back ends up getting... Grenard gets a hand on him. Cashman is just engulfed in here. He's just washed out completely. And the running back gets past him. And then, Blake ends up making a tackle down the field. How many yards downfield? 8 yards down the field. Wow, what a great run defense snap there. An 8-yard run. Okay, so then the next one is going to be Dallas Turner. Now, I don't consider Dallas Turner to be a great run defender when being run at. Now, on that fourth down play we saw, he came in from the edge and made a play when the ball was going up the middle, okay? When Dallas is being run at, he's not very heavy. I think he can be very susceptible. So, again, we're going to look at another play here where Dallas, he's up here, okay, and then again you have Cashman right here. So Dallas is going to get washed out, and the hole is going to be created right here because Dallas, he's getting taken out by a tight end. Okay, so then Blake, he's got a guard coming at him, either a guard or a tackle, I'm not sure. So you would think, all right, Blake, can you shed this? Can you shed this this blocker and make this tackle? All right, so you can see Tillery here, he's being handled. Dallas is being handled. Somebody out here, maybe Murphy, I'm not sure, being handled. Blake needs to be over here. I don't know why he's here. Okay, and then you just watch this. Guy just flies right by him. Bynum makes a nice tackle to save the day there. Again, Cashman, out of position. Where are you? What are you doing? I'm sorry. Like, where are you? Okay, then my final Cashman play. Okay, here we go. Here's Cashman here. Let's find out what happens here. He's got Grugier Hill in there with him now. So, he's here. Here's the running back. I think the hole's opening up here, or the running back has the opportunity to take it outside. Gilmore is there for that tackle. So, this looks pretty obvious. Cashman is there. Running back's here. You have like, what, 1.5 yards, 2 yards separation here? This seems like an easy 2-yard run tackle for Cashman. And I actually think Cashman is a pretty solid tackler. But what happens here? Okay, Cashman contacts the guy at the 30-yard line. Where does the guy end up? The freaking 35. So in addition to the 2 yards of running, he gets another 5 yards beyond contact. I mean, what kind of tackling is that? These are 3 plays, I think, all within 1 quarter. And you're going to sit there and you're going to tell me Blake Cashman is a wild man who's all over the field making plays? Well, if he's making plays like these, I'm going to need him to do a little bit better. Okay, that's my opinion. All right, so what's next? Now that I'm done bashing Blake. But I got another Blake coming up. Okay, so Darnold misses Munt. This one hurt. This one hurt. Okay, watch this. Here is a play. It is at the end of the third quarter. We're up 17-10, kind of looking to maybe give ourselves a little bit of space, right? A little play action here. Darnold looking deep. Check this out. So you have Chandler on an out route here. That's the kind of throw Kirk would make. Okay, fast forward. Oh my God, look at how open Johnny Munt is. There is nobody near him. And literally, he is right underneath Jefferson. Like, he's in the line of sight. He could have made that throw so easily. I think Munt probably at least gets down to the 10, if not scoring. But where does this ball end up? Well, it ends up going to Jefferson, and it's a bad throw. No completion, and yeah. So anyway, just wow. He missed a couple of those where it's like, take the underneath route, Sam. You don't got to. We want you to like press the ball to Jefferson on occasion, but not every freaking time. All right, what's next? Okay, this is Ed Ingram's non-penalty, and then finally, I'll show you a perfect blitz by the Jets. Okay, Ed Ingram's non-penalty. Ed is right here. Watch Ed. Is it a screen pass or is it a run? It's a run. It's a pitch play. Okay, Ed's out. Here's 44. That's their linebacker, Sherwood. Okay, Sherwood's trying to come back for the tackle. Here comes Ed. Chandler's doing a little cutback here. Ed gets him. Look at this. That's not a block in the back. He's literally contacting him right on his shoulder. Okay, and Ed just kind of says, "Get out of here, boy." And so They threw a flag on Ed for that, and so that hurts Ed. That causes him to get a penalty, a bad grade. PFF's like, throw the book at him, and I'm just like, that wasn't even a freaking penalty. It contacted him on his freaking shoulder pad. Like, what are we doing? Why are we attacking Ed so much? All right, anyway. Plus that, I mean, that was a good gain. It was like 7 yards there. We could have used that. Okay. Oops, sorry. Okay. This is a perfectly executed blitz by the Jets. So what they're showing here is this. We have Addison in motion. I think we have Munt or Oliver out here who look like they're going to be going on a route. We have a guy who is threatening to blitz here. We have a guy threatening to blitz here in the middle. And then we have a guy who looks like he is actually covering Jefferson in the slot, who is actually going to end up blitzing. And the reason why this is such a perfectly schemed blitz is because what happens is this guy actually blitzes off the corner, so Sam reads that as throw to the hot route, which is going to be Jefferson, and Reed knows that that's going to be the case. If Sam had any more time, I think maybe he's got Naylor or Powell, I can't tell which guy that is, maybe he can wait just a tick and throw the ball over the top, and the safety probably picks him up. But Sam immediately goes to the hot route. He tries to get the ball out to Jefferson. This guy's already on top of him. I think he gets a big hit, and Reed's right there for the coverage. So just watch this play kind of develop, right? Because you see everyone threatening. He wasn't threatening. Now he's coming. This guy falls out. This guy actually is coming, which ends up causing, I think, Munt or Oliver to actually end up staying in the block. And Chandler's there also. Chandler should be over here catching this guy. He's not. So here he comes. Okay, so then Sam, of course, got to get that ball out to JJ. Reed is right. Actually, it's not even Reed. It's the safety. It's right on top of him. He doesn't even make the first down marker. Doesn't make the catch anyway. Just a great over. And you see it again here. Just the way the Jets set this up. Just completely confusing Sam, forcing him into a throw they know is going to be a poor throw and not be a first down throw. Just really well executed by the Jets. Really well done. Okay, so we're going to wrap this up now. I'm going to show you 6 Blake Brandel plays. I just want you to watch Blake. I don't have them like typed out the way I did for the go looks. So Blake, as you know, is your left guard. He's right here. Let's watch Blake. Okay, so as we can see, Blake is responsible for picking up the second level on this run play. He completely whiffs. See the whiff? And then what happens? Well, that guy contacts Jones. Jones, being the great runner that he is, he gets back to the line of scrimmage, but does not pick up the first down on 2nd and 1 because Brandel whiffed on the second level block. All right, next play. Okay, here's Brandel. We're looking right here. What does he do? Okay, this is actually a super interesting play. I want to point this one out because I found this one to be very, very interesting. I've never seen a blocking pattern like this before. And I haven't been watching offensive line play for a long time, so this is probably normal. It's just something new to me. They are expecting a double A gap blitz, I think, on this play, even though both the linebackers aren't up, and maybe it's just the protection that was called. But you're going to watch Ingram actually fades back and holds right here. Brandel is supposed to, or he's right here. He's supposed to fade back and hold right here because these two guys are supposed to be, I don't know, just guarding the gaps so that way if there's any blitzers coming through, they're going to be there to catch them. Now, because the Jets were so sneaky with their delayed blitz in this one, they actually had the blocking scheme called correctly, but Brandel fails to make his block. So I want to go through this one kind of slowly. Okay, you're going to watch as they get into position. Okay, you see Ingram's getting into position. Brandel is trying to get into position over here, right? There's your play action. Ingram's in position. Brandel's in position. These two linebackers are going to come. They just are on delayed blitzes. So then you see them. Here they come. They've made their move. Ingram's ready to take on his guy. He's got his guy. Where's Brandel? He has fallen down. And what happens? Well, that linebacker gets a huge shot on Sam Darnold. Okay, I want you to watch Brandel. He's right here. Sorry, he's right here, trying to get into position to guard his gap. He falls down. Okay, see him? There he is. He falls. Here comes his linebacker. Ingram's got his guy. This linebacker nails Darnold. This is the hit that had Darnold out for the one play where we end up having Mullins come in, throwing the ball to Jones. And so this is the one that affected Darnold for the rest of the game. So don't tell me that Ingram is the guy who needs to be replaced. Okay, I don't think either guy needs to be replaced. I think they're both playing pretty well. But don't tell me that Ingram's playing like crap and then let stuff like this from Brandel go and not call it out. Don't do that. That is disingenuous, and I frankly don't appreciate it from anybody. None of the shows that I watched brought this up. So I'm just going to let you watch this from the beginning one more time. It just watches Blake Brandel, who is right here, supposed to come right here, protect his gap, and protect Darnold, falls down and lets Darnold get absolutely annihilated. There you have it. Okay, that play's over. All right. Next up, okay, Brandel is going to be over here. Here's where he is. Oh, yeah, I remember this one. This is a Ty Chandler run. He just lets, I think, probably Quinnen Williams just completely get right up the field and just ruin this run. No, that wasn't it. I'm thinking of the next one. This play, I'm sorry, excuse me. On this play, Brandel is getting to the second level, so he's helping to chip here. Then he needs to get up to the next level to get the linebacker. Now, what ends up happening is, you see, hold on, we missed him. Let's get him back in his stance. Okay, he's right here. He needs to get up to the second level and get to the linebacker, except two different guys come on the run, and Blake literally runs. Don't you think, here's Blake right here. Don't you think he needs to get this guy? He's aiming for this guy. This is the guy he goes for. And he obviously has two options. And I mean, one of the two guys are going to make the play. But if I were Blake Brandel and I were looking to go to the second level to make a block, I'd be looking for the guy who's closer to me and to the running back and on a beeline. And for some reason, Blake just literally runs right past him. And then that guy makes the play. And Myles Gaskin gets a not quite a TFL, just a 0-yard gain. But I don't know, just bad vision there, right? Like, yeah, you can't block two guys, but at least block the closest one, right? All right, let's see what happens here. Oh, yeah, here's the one where Quinnen Williams just kind of eats his lunch. So here's Blake right here. Here's Quinnen. Quinnen's just going to push him all the way back into Darnold, get right into his face, get a hit on him, get a hand in his face, and it just causes an errant throw. So you're just going to watch this. This is all happening right here. Watch this guy coming in on this guy. Just, yeah. So, obviously a pressure, right? Did they mark Brandel down for a pressure in this one? I can't recall. But that clearly was a pressure in my opinion. Quinnen Williams owned him on that play. This is the final play. Is it? Maybe I have one more. This is the one where he gets pushed back into the backfield and totally blows up this run. So he is right here. Let's watch this. Pushed all the way back, blows up the run. Chandler, again, 0 yards. So we're sitting there wondering, why isn't the run game working? What's happening in the run game? Maybe guys aren't making their blocks. Maybe guys are getting pushed back 5 yards into the backfield. Maybe that's happening. All right, let's see if I have one more. I do have one more. Okay, so let's find out what happens here. Here's Brandel right here. Let's take a look at him. Okay, another second level miss. And this one is super funny with the way he flies to the ground. So his job on this play is to chip right here and then to move up into the second level and get fill, hit the linebacker who's supposed to fill the gaps. That way your running back has a chance to run past him and then make a guy miss and hopefully get an explosive play. So what happens is, Blake gets his chip, okay, moves out. This is his man. That's his guy. He is making a beeline for him. Well, what happens? Well, the linebacker, he gets off his, off balance or something. Linebacker runs right past him. Blake tries to hold him. Glad he didn't. Would have been half the distance to the goal line. It just ends up flying backwards. And, oh, what a shocker. Another -1 or 0 yard run. So, yeah. Anyway, as you can tell, I pointed out some things when it comes to Cashman, and I pointed out some things when it comes to Brandel. PFF grades are not the end-all, be-all, okay? Trust your eyes. Trust what you're looking at. Watch the game. Watch the film. Make your own decisions. All right, I'm in an hour 35. This has been a crazy night. So, 2 more things left, and we'll wrap it up. Number 1, I made some notes. I've got 6 players I want to target at the trade deadline. I want to target 2 down defensive tackle. I think Dalvin Tomlinson or DeForest Buckner could be targets. I want us to target a running back, just a veteran guy who can handle like all 3 phases. They can just play any down. The 2 guys I'm targeting, and I did see Miles Sanders come up in other articles and stuff, and other people have mentioned him. I don't know if the rumors are actually like real or what, but when I looked at like contracts and teams, Miles Sanders just seemed like an obvious guy for us to pursue. Another guy I think we should go after is Raheem Mostert. I think there was a guy, so Achane got hurt. I think it was Jalen Wright, if I'm remembering correctly, had a great game. And normally Mostert is the guy to come in and play after Achane, but it wasn't. And so is Mostert maybe available? I would definitely call on him, because if you can add Mostert to this backfield, I think, or this running back group, I think that would be a great addition. And then if we're going to go after a guard, it has to be a plug-and-play veteran. Okay, it has to be a guy who can step right in and be great right away. I'm not going to just let you replace a guy like Ingram with a guy like Dan Feeney or Michael Juergens. Okay, it needs to be somebody like a Brandon Sheriff or a Wyatt Teller. A note on Wyatt Teller, he is on short-term IR. He has done 2 of the 4 games so far. This bye week for us would be his 3rd, so he would be close to coming off of the short-term IR if we were to try and go after him and pick him up. He plays for the Browns. And then finally, I have one final note, and that is this. I think we should trade Patrick Jones. And the reason why I think we should trade Patrick Jones right now is because his value will never be higher than it is right now, and he is blocking Dallas Turner. We want Dallas Turner to play more. We want more Dallas Turner on the field, less Patrick Jones on the field. I think that Washington would be a really good match for Patrick Jones. I think they play a 4-3. He'd be a great rotational piece for them. They're having a nice year. He's obviously in the contract year, I guess, of his rookie deal. And I love what Patrick's done so far, but he's more of a typical 4-3 base end. We play a 3-4, obviously. He's not quite quick enough. Guys like Grenard and Van Ginkel more fit our system, and so we want Dallas Turner to play more. And so Patrick Jones is kind of blocking him. I love what he's done. He's a great rotational piece. I think he needs to move on. It's going to thin out our edge group just a little bit, but I would still be very confident in our guys. So anyway, those are my thoughts. 2 down defensive tackle, a veteran running back, a plug-and-play veteran guard if you feel like that's necessary. I don't think it is. And then move Patrick Jones, get something for him now. His value will never be higher. Okay? And then finally, I've been forgetting to do this every Wednesday. Up until this point, I need to get my Thursday picks in now. And so I'm going to do that now. So our line for tomorrow's game, San Francisco 49ers at Seattle Seahawks. Seattle is plus 3.5. Underdogs at home. I am taking San Francisco for the win and the cover. Now that I have that out of the way, I don't have to be so compelled to try and get a show out tomorrow. I can wait till Friday or Saturday. All right, so we're going to transition it back to me on the main cam, and as you know, the mantra for the show, as always, is play vicious, be victorious. Peace.